ChatGPT said. Maria was a quiet woman with strong hands and a gentle smile. She had lived in the same small town all her life, running a little garage that everyone knew was the best place for an honest repair. Her garage was simple just two: old bays, some tools she had collected over the years, and a faded sign that read Maria's Auto Repair. People trusted her, not just because she was good at fixing cars, but because she cared. She listened to everyone, whether they drove a shiny sports car or an old rusty truck. Maria always believed in kindness, and that every good deed somehow found its way back in the world. It was a Wednesday afternoon when something different happened. Maria was packing up her tools, wiping grease off her hands and thinking about the soup she'd make for her mother that night. The sky was golden, and the neighborhood was quiet except for the chirping birds and the distant sound of kids playing. She was just about to lock the garage door when she heard a strange coughing engine coming closer. She turned to see an old, battered pickup truck limping down the road, puffing smoke like a tired dragon. The truck stopped right in front of her garage, making a sad, rattling noise before going silent. The door opened, and a man stepped out. He looked tired, maybe in his late 40s or early 50s, with lines on his face that told of many hard miles. His clothes were worn, and his boots had more dust than leather, but his eyes were friendly, if a little worried. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said, trying to smile. "I'm sorry to bother you so late, but my truck just gave up on me. I don't have much money, and I need to get to the next town. Do you think you could take a look?" Maria saw the stress in his face. She could have said she was closed, but something in his voice made her pause. She nodded, of course. "Bring it in," she said, waving him forward. The man introduced himself as Bill while Maria popped open the hood. She listened as he explained his story. He was just passing through, heading south for work, and the truck had started acting up miles back. He hadn't planned on stopping, but when the engine began to sputter and jerk, he knew he had to find help. He was worried about how much a repair might cost. Maria listened, nodding, and then focused on the engine. It didn't take her long to spot the problem: a worn-out hose, a cracked belt, and a battery cable that had nearly come loose. These were small things for Maria, but big problems for someone. Without the right tools or know-how, she rolled up her sleeves and got to work. She didn't waste time asking about payment, and she didn't judge Bill for his old truck or his worn clothes. To her, everyone deserved a bit of help. While she worked, Bill stood nearby, shifting from foot to foot. He tried to help by handing her tools, asking questions about what she was doing, and even trying to make her laugh with a joke or two. Maria just smiled and shook her head. She was in her zone, working fast and careful. Within an hour, she had fixed the hose with a spare she had in her box, replaced the cracked belt with another old but sturdy one, and tightened the battery cable. She checked the oil, topped off the fluids, and gave the whole engine a quick once-over when she was done. She wiped her hands and closed the hood with a satisfying click. "Try it now," she told Bill. Bill turned the key and the truck rumbled to life, sounding much healthier than before. Relief washed over his face. He jumped out and thanked Maria over and over. He reached into his wallet, pulling out a handful of crumpled bills. "I know it's not much, but please, take it. You saved me." Maria smiled and shook her head. "Keep your money, Bill. You're on a journey, and you need it more than I do. Just do something kind for someone else down the road, okay?" Bill stared at her, not sure what to say. People didn't usually say no to money, especially after working so hard. He tried again, but Maria was firm. "Seriously, it was nothing big for me. Safe travels, all right?" He finally nodded, looking both embarrassed and grateful at the same time. He promised her that he would pay her kindness forward, and that he wouldn't forget what she did. As the sun began to set, Bill drove away, waving out the window until he turned the corner and disappeared from sight. Maria stood in the driveway, feeling tired but happy. She gathered her tools, locked up the garage, and headed inside to her mother, thinking only that she had done what was right. The next day, Maria barely thought about Bill. She had other customers, small repairs, and errands to run. Her mother needed her help, and there was always something to do in the house or garden. She felt good about helping Bill, but she didn't. expect anything to come of it. For Maria, kindness was a normal part of her day. But that night, as she closed her eyes, she wondered if Bill had made it safely to where he was going. She hoped that, wherever he was, he remembered her small garage and the mechanic who believed in helping strangers for no reason other than it felt right. Unbeknownst to Maria, this one simple act of kindness was about to change her life in ways she could never imagine. At that moment, she couldn't know that the stranger she helped would soon return, not as a man with a broken truck, but as someone who would bring her a gift so big it would block her driveway and open new doors. For her future, Maria fell asleep, tired from the long day, with a gentle feeling of satisfaction in her heart. She had helped someone in need, just as she always hoped someone would do for her or her mother if they ever needed it. The small town stayed peaceful. As night settled in, and Maria's garage, though dark and quiet, held the memory of a kindness that was about to come full circle. ChatGPT said. Maria woke up early the next morning, the memory of the old truck and the stranger named Bill already fading into the background of her busy thoughts. She had lived her whole life helping others, so one good deed easily blended into another. The morning sun came through the kitchen window as she poured a cup of tea for her mother, who sat wrapped in a shawl and smiled gratefully. Maria's world was simple but fulfilled with hard work, small moments of joy, and the constant needs of her family and neighbors. After breakfast, Maria put on her work overalls and stepped into her garage, breathing in the familiar scent of oil, rubber, and metal. Her old radio played softly in the background, giving her company as she checked her schedule for the day. She had 3 cars coming in for repairs. Mrs. Lopez's minivan needed a new tire. Mr. Patel's sedan had a broken headlight, and a young couple wanted their air conditioner fixed before a summer road trip. These were ordinary jobs, and Maria enjoyed the steady rhythm of her days. As she worked, Maria's mind wandered. She wondered how Bill was doing. She pictured him driving on some empty highway, maybe stopping at a diner for coffee or chatting. With truckers at a rest stop, she hoped his truck was still running smoothly. Maria believed that when you help someone, even if you never see them again, a piece of that kindness stays with them wherever they go. Her first customer arrived just as Maria finished cleaning her tools. Mrs. Lopez, an older woman with a cheerful laugh, brought fresh cookies as thanks for the help. They chatted about the weather and Maria's mother's health, while Maria quickly replaced the worn tire. Next, Mr. Patel drove in. He was a quiet man who always paid in cash and left a small tip on the counter. Maria fixed his headlight in less than half an hour, and he thanked her with a shy smile. The day continued, one customer after another, each with their own worries and stories. Maria listened patiently, giving advice, fixing cars, and sometimes just offering a kind word. It was this gentle way of treating people that made her so loved in the neighborhood. No one ever left her garage feeling ignored or unwanted. Later, in the afternoon, a small boy from down the street came by with a flat bicycle tire. Maria fixed it while telling him a story about how, when she was his age, she used to ride her own bike everywhere. The boy listened, wide-eyed, and promised to be careful on the big hill at the end of the block. Maria watched him pedal away, feeling proud of how she could help even with small things. By evening, Maria was tired but satisfied. She closed her garage, walked into her house, and checked on her mother, who was resting peacefully. As she prepared dinner, her thoughts returned briefly to Bill and his promise to pay the kindness forward. She wondered if he would really do it, but she didn't dwell on it. For Maria, helping someone was its own reward. She didn't expect thanks or favors in return. The next several days passed quickly. Maria's life was filled with little routines and simple joys, watering her plants, feeding the neighbor's cat while they were away, and attending Sunday service at the small church on the corner. She smiled at everyone she met, from the mailman to the children playing in the street. One afternoon, Maria faced a small problem. Her own car wouldn't start. She opened the hood, frowning at the stubborn engine. After a few minutes, she figured out the issue and fixed it herself. It was a reminder that even the helper sometimes needed help, but Maria liked being able to solve her own problems. Felt strong and independent, even when life threw her small challenges. Meanwhile, her mother caught a bad cold and needed extra care. Maria spent more time at home, cooking soup and making sure her mother was comfortable. It was hard work, but Maria was patient. She knew that taking care of her mother was the most important job she had. Through all this, Maria's act of kindness toward Bill stayed in the background. She never mentioned it to anyone. When her friends came by to chat or share a cup of tea, Maria listened to their worries about bills, family troubles, or job searches. But she kept her own stories quiet. She liked to think that her good deeds didn't need to be shared. They simply became part of the world, making it a little better for everyone. One day, as Maria swept the floor of her garage, her neighbor, Janice, stopped by. She mentioned that a big delivery truck had been spotted in the neighborhood, looking for an address on Maria's street. "Maybe you're finally getting that new toolbox you talked about," Janice joked. Maria laughed and shook her head. "No, I didn't order anything. Maybe it's for the new folks on the corner." They shrugged it off, and Maria returned to her work. She wasn't expecting anything special, so the thought of a delivery never crossed her mind again. She finished her chores and went inside as dusk settled, happy that her day had been calm and ordinary. But small changes were happening around her. The regulars at her garage started to talk about how lucky the neighborhood was to have someone like Maria. They remembered the times she had stayed late to fix a flat tire or given a discount to someone who couldn't pay. Her kindness was like a gentle ripple, spreading out into the community, even if Maria didn't realize it. As another week passed, Maria kept busy with her simple life. She fixed cars, took care of her mother, and enjoyed the small pleasures of her day: a good cup of tea, a kind word from a neighbor, or the laughter of children outside her window. Her routine gave her comfort, and she never once thought about being rewarded for the good she did. Then, on a quiet Friday evening, Maria heard her neighbor's voice through the open window. "Hey, Maria, did you see that huge trailer parked down the street? It's blocking the whole driveway. Must be a mistake." Maria looked up from her book and frowned. She hadn't heard any delivery trucks that day, and her own driveway was always clear so customers could come and go. She put on her shoes and stepped outside, wondering what could be going on. As she reached the end of her walk, Maria saw it. For herself, gigantic 40-foot trailer, gleaming in the fading sunlight, sitting right in front of her house. It was impossible to miss. The trailer was so long, it stretched from her driveway past her neighbor's garden. There were no signs, no delivery people, and no clues as to why it was there. Maria's car was trapped inside the garage, and she couldn't believe what she was seeing. Neighbors started to gather, curious about the huge trailer, and speculating about what could be inside or who it belonged to. Maria stood quietly, not sure what to do. She tried calling the number on the side of the trailer, but got no answer. She even left a note asking whoever owned it to please move it as soon as possible. For the first time in a long while, Maria felt completely puzzled and out of control. As night fell, Maria stood by her window, looking at the giant trailer blocking her way. She didn't know if it was a mistake or if someone was playing a strange joke. All she knew was that her quiet routine had been interrupted in a very big way. But deep inside, Maria still believed that good things happen to good people if they come in the most unexpected packages. She went to bed that night wondering what tomorrow would bring, never guessing that this strange trailer would change her life just as much as fixing a stranger's truck had 2 weeks before, ChatGPT said. Maria woke up earlier than usual the next morning. The sun had barely started to rise, painting the sky with soft colors, but she didn't notice the pretty morning light. Instead, her mind was already full of worry about the giant trailer blocking her driveway. She pulled back her curtains and saw that the trailer was still there, unmoved. It looked even bigger now, sitting in the middle of the quiet street. For a moment, Maria hoped it would disappear if she blinked, like something from a dream, but it didn't. She sighed and got dressed, ready to face the new day. Before she even opened her garage, Maria saw a small group of neighbors standing outside, all looking at the trailer and whispering among themselves. Some were curious, some annoyed, and a few just found the whole situation funny. Old Mr. Jenkins from next door walked over, shaking his head. "Maria, you sure you didn't order a house on wheels?" he joked, trying to lighten the mood. Maria tried to smile. "If I did, I'd at least have it delivered somewhere else," she answered, but her mind was still spinning. She needed to get to work, and her customers would soon start arriving. Her mother's medicine was running low, and she planned to buy groceries today. But with her car blocked in, everything was suddenly much harder. She pulled out her phone and called the number painted on the side of the trailer again. Once more, there was no answer. She left another message, this time explaining how important it was for her to get her car out. "Please," she said softly, hoping someone would. "Listen, my customers can't reach me. My mother needs her medicine. Please move the trailer as soon as possible." As the morning went on, more people gathered. Some took pictures, others offered advice, and a few children rode their bikes around the trailer, laughing at how enormous it was. Maria felt both embarrassed and helpless. She tried calling the city, but they said they couldn't do anything unless it blocked the whole road, not just her driveway. Maria couldn't understand why someone would leave such a big trailer in front of her house, especially without warning. Her first customer of the day, Mrs. Lopez, called to say she couldn't reach the garage. "It's okay, Maria," she said. "I'll come back when you're open again. Let me know if you need anything." Other customers called too, and Maria apologized each time. She promised to reschedule their appointments, feeling worse with every phone call. She didn't want people to think she was unreliable. Her good name in the town meant everything to her. Inside the house, Maria's mother noticed her worry. She reached out and took Maria's hand. "Things happen for a reason," she said, gently. "Sometimes a problem is just waiting to become a blessing." Maria wanted to believe her mother, but right now all she saw was a long trailer causing trouble. Around lunchtime, a delivery driver from a local store arrived to drop off a package but couldn't park. He left the box on the sidewalk and called Maria to let her know. Maria walked out to get it, noticing that several cars had to turn around because they couldn't get past the trailer. She apologized to each driver, feeling responsible, even though it wasn't her fault. Hours passed, and the trailer stayed put. The sun climbed high, and people started to leave, returning to their own lives. But the trailer was still the talk of the street. Maria sat on her front steps, thinking about all the things she should be doing. She wondered if this was a strange kind of payback for all the times she had helped others, except it didn't feel like a reward. She felt trapped and useless. That afternoon, a knock came at her door. It was Janice, her neighbor from across the street, carrying a thermos of coffee and 2 cups. "You look like you could use a break," Janice said kindly. They sat together on the steps, drinking coffee and watching the sun glint off the silver trailer. Janice tried to cheer Maria up. "Maybe there's treasure inside. Maybe it's full of circus animals." Maria managed a small laugh, grateful for her friend's support. But deep down, Maria worried about how she would get through the next day if the trailer didn't move. Her mother needed her medication soon. What if there was an emergency? She couldn't drive out? The thought made her chest tight with worry. That night, after making a simple dinner and helping her mother get ready for bed, Maria stood by the window, staring at the trailer in the street. She noticed something odd. There was a small envelope taped to the side of the trailer that she hadn't seen before. She quickly put on her shoes and stepped out into the cool night air. As she walked up to the trailer, she saw her name written in neat letters on the envelope. Inside was a note, short and mysterious. "Be patient. We'll be clear tomorrow morning, friend." Maria read the message twice, her heart pounding with curiosity. Who would call themselves her friend? Is this about the trailer? Was it a joke or something else? For the first time since the trailer arrived, Maria felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe there was a reason for all this after all. She went back inside and showed the note to her mother, who just smiled. "See, I told you good things happen when you least expect them." That night, Maria slept only a little. She tossed and turned, wondering what would happen in the morning. She thought about all the people she'd helped over the years. All the simple acts of kindness that had filled her life. She hoped, whatever the trailer meant, that it wasn't a mistake or a trick. She just wanted things to go back to normal. As the first light of dawn touched her street, Maria got up, dressed quickly, and stepped outside. She saw movement at the end of the road, a black pickup truck pulling up beside the trailer. The driver got out, and Maria squinted, trying to see his face. Suddenly, she recognized him. It was Bill, the stranger with the old truck, the man she had helped 2 weeks ago. Maria's heart leaped. What was Bill doing here? Had he brought the trailer? Was he behind this whole thing? Before she could speak, Bill grinned and waved, his face full of excitement. Maria realized something big was about to be revealed, something that would change her life and make sense of the giant trailer that had blocked her driveway and filled her days with confusion and questions. At that moment, Maria felt a mix of nervousness and hope. She had no idea what Bill would say or what the trailer held, but she was finally ready to find out. The long night of worry was over. Now, she was about to discover the real reason behind the mysterious 40-foot trailer. Maria stood in her driveway, her heart beating fast as she watched Bill step out of the black pickup truck. The early morning light made everything look new, as if the world itself was waiting to see what would happen next. Bill looked different. From before, he was still wearing his work boots and flannel shirt, but now he had a confident smile and seemed more at ease. He walked up to Maria, holding a set of keys in one hand and a folded piece of paper in the other. "Good morning, Maria," Bill said warmly, his voice friendly and strong. "I hope you're not too upset about the trailer. I know it caused you some trouble." Maria felt 100 questions bubbling up inside her, but she managed a smile. "I was surprised, that's for sure. Is this your doing? Did you leave this giant trailer here?" Bill nodded, his eyes shining with excitement. "I did. But before you get mad at me, please let me explain." He turned to the trailer and signaled to someone inside the black pickup. Suddenly, another man jumped out. He was younger, with a bright vest and a cheerful wave. Together, they walked to the back of the trailer and unlocked the huge doors. The neighbors who had gathered along the sidewalk watched in silence, curious about what would happen. Some people whispered, wondering if it was a prank or maybe something dangerous. But as the doors swung open, everyone gasped in amazement. Inside the trailer, shining in the morning sun, was a treasure trove of brand new garage equipment. There were rows of shiny tools, wrenches, drills, hammers, and screwdrivers, all neatly organized and never used. There was a state-of-the-art hydraulic lift that could raise a car with the push of a button, sparkling red tool cabinets on wheels, and a set of machines Maria had only ever dreamed about: a tire changer, a wheel balancer, and a computerized diagnostic system. There were even new safety stands, oil pumps, and a big red air compressor. In the center of it all sat a plaque with Maria's name on it, the letters gold and beautiful: Maria's Auto Repair for service, kindness, and heart. For a moment, Maria could only stare, her mind unable to believe what she was seeing. She stepped forward, feeling the cool morning air on her skin, and looked at Bill with wide eyes. Is this all for me?" Bill grinned and nodded. "Every bit of it. You helped me when I was in trouble, and you refused to take anything for it. I wanted to do something that would show you how much that meant to me. I run a trucking company, Maria. I see a lot of people every day, but very few show real kindness. Just because it's the right thing to do, when you fixed my truck and sent me on my way, I felt like I owed you a big thank you. But I didn't just want to say it, I wanted to show it." The neighbors started clapping and cheering. Some even took out their phones and began recording, wanting to capture the moment. Maria's hands trembled as she stepped up to the trailer and touched one of the brand new toolboxes. It felt real smooth and cold and solid, like a dream come true. Bill handed Maria the set of keys. "These are for the new tool cabinets. And here," he added, unfolding the piece of paper, "is a list of everything in the trailer. It's all yours. You don't owe me anything. This is just my way of paying back a kindness that meant a lot to me when I needed it most." Maria's eyes filled with tears. She looked at Bill and shook her head in disbelief. "I never expected anything like this, Bill. I just wanted to help. I help everyone knits what I do." Bill put a gentle hand on her shoulder. "And that's exactly why you deserve it, Maria. Most people just look out for themselves. Look out for others. You'll help without thinking about what you'll get in return. People like you make the world better. By now, more people had gathered, drawn by the news of Maria's surprise. They crowded around the trailer, amazed by the sparkling equipment and happy for Maria. Some of her regular customers came forward to shake her hand and congratulate her. Even the mayor, who happened to be passing by, stopped and gave Maria a warm smile. "You've always been there for us, Maria," he said. "It's about time someone did something special for you." Maria could barely speak, but she tried to thank Bill. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. "This will change everything for me. I can help more people now and do my job even better." "Thank you, Bill. Really thank you from my heart." Bill laughed and hugged Maria. "No need for thanks. Just promise me you'll keep helping people, the way you always do. And maybe, when you see someone in trouble, you'll remember this day and know that kindness really does come back." Together, they unloaded the equipment, with neighbors jumping in to help carry things to Maria's garage. It became a community event, people laughing, chatting, and sharing stories. Someone brought coffee and muffins, turning the morning into a small celebration. Even Maria's mother came outside, wrapped in her shawl, her face glowing with pride and happiness. As they moved the last box into the garage, Maria stood back and looked at her little shop. It didn't look so little anymore. The new equipment sparkled, the plaque shone in the sunlight, and the room felt alive with hope and excitement. Maria felt stronger than ever, knowing that her work mattered, that her kindness had made a real difference in someone's life. Later, as things quieted down, Bill and Maria sat together on the front steps. "You know," Bill said thoughtfully, "sometimes we go through life thinking nobody notices the small good things we do. But someone always notices Maria. Someone always remembers." Maria nodded, tears of joy still shining in her eyes. "I'll never forget this, Bill. I'll keep helping, always. I'll remember you and this day for the rest of my life." As the sun rose higher in the sky, Maria's heart felt lighter than ever. She looked at the busy street, her friends, her neighbors, and the shining new tools that would help her serve her community even better. In that moment, she understood that kindness was a gift that kept moving forward from one person to the next, making the world just a little bit brighter every day. And so, Maria's story grew a story about fixing more than just cars. It's about helping strangers, and about how sometimes the most surprising gifts come from the simplest acts of kindness. She would tell this story for years, always ending with, the lesson she now truly believed: what you give to the world comes back to you, sometimes in a 40-foot trailer full of dreams. Maria's life changed completely after that unforgettable morning. The story of the mysterious trailer, the stranger she had helped, and the kindness that came full circle became the talk of the town. For days, people came to see the new equipment. In her little garage, some brought flowers, some baked treats, and many just wanted to shake her hand and say, "Thank you for reminding us that good people still exist." Maria's business quickly became busier than ever before. With her new tools, she could work faster and more easily, fixing even the toughest problems for her customers. The hydraulic lift meant she could help people with bigger cars and trucks, and the advanced diagnostic machine made her work more accurate. Soon, customers from nearby towns started visiting her garage because they heard about the kind mechanic who had been rewarded in such an amazing way. One by one, Maria welcomed them all. She treated each person with the same warmth and patience, whether they drove an old pickup or a brand new car. She never let her new success change who she was. If someone was short on money, she'd still find a way to help, just like she had done for Bill. Maria's heart was as big as ever, and her smile brought comfort to everyone who came through her door. Her neighbors also benefited from her good fortune. Maria started offering free checkups for the elderly and special discounts for single parents and students. She organized small classes to teach basic car maintenance, inviting local teenagers to learn how to change tires, check oil, and handle small repairs. The classes became so popular that the mayor himself stopped by one Saturday, bringing his own grandkids to join the fun. Maria's mother, who watched all this with pride from the kitchen window, felt happier and more secure. With the garage doing better than ever, Maria could spend more time at home, caring for her mother and making sure she was always comfortable. There were fewer late nights and more evenings spent together, sharing stories and laughter. But Maria never forgot the lesson that kindness can bring unexpected blessings. One rainy afternoon, a young woman knocked on her garage door. She looked worried and explained that her car had broken down a few blocks away. She didn't have much money and was embarrassed to even ask for help. Maria wiped her hands on her apron, smiled, and grabbed her toolkit. She followed the young woman through the rain, fixed the problem, and refused any payment. "Just do something kind for someone else one day," she said, repeating the words she had told Bill on that special afternoon. The young woman left. With a grateful heart, Maria felt the same satisfaction she always had, knowing she'd made a difference, even in a small way. The cycle of kindness continued, quietly touching more lives with every act. As months went by, Maria's story spread beyond her town. Local newspapers published articles about her, and a news crew visited to record her story for TV. Maria was shy on camera. She told her story simply, always giving credit to Bill and to everyone in her community who had helped her along the way. She wanted people to know that it wasn't about receiving a reward, but about believing in the power of small good deeds. One day, Bill visited again, this time as a friend, not a stranger in need. He brought his family and Maria, introduced them to her mother and her neighbors. Together, they shared a meal in Maria's backyard, laughing and enjoying the company. Bill's children played with the neighborhood kids, and everyone celebrated the simple joy of being together. Maria and Bill talked about how much their lives had changed since that day 2 weeks before. Bill said he had started a new program in his company to help stranded drivers for free whenever possible. He told Maria, "Your kindness started a wave, Maria. My workers are happier and people treat each other better. All because you took the time to help a stranger." Maria smiled, feeling a sense of peace. She realized that one good act could travel farther than anyone could see, growing and multiplying in the hearts of others. Her little garage, once quiet and ordinary, had become a place of hope and connection, a living example of how kindness and hard work could change not just one life, but many. Over time, Maria hired 2 young apprentices who had attended her classes. She taught them not only about engines and tools, but also about patience and compassion. Every car has a story, she told them. Every person deserves respect. Her apprentices learned quickly, eager to follow her example. The garage felt like a family, full of laughter, learning, and support. Even when challenges came, like when the weather was bad, or when a shipment of parts was delayed, Maria never lost her positive spirit. She always found a way to help, even if it meant working late or lending a listening ear to a worried customer. People trusted Maria, not just with their cars, but with their stories, their problems, and their hopes. And Maria's story lived on, told from person to person. Travelers who stopped in her town asked about the kind mechanic with the miracle trailer. Parents reminded their children about the value of helping others. Teenagers who once learned to fix a flat tire at Maria's garage remembered her lessons long after they moved away. Years later, when people asked Maria about the day the 40-foot trailer blocked her driveway, I always laughed and said I thought it was a problem. But it turned out to be the biggest blessing of my life. She would share the story with a twinkle in her eye, always ending with the same advice: help others when you can. You never know what good might come back to you. The story of Maria's kindness and the mysterious trailer became a legend in the town, reminding everyone that even in a busy modern world, small acts of goodness still matter. Maria's garage stood as proof that helping a stranger, even when you expect nothing in return, can change everything for you, for your community, and for people you may never even meet. In the end, Maria never stopped being herself a kind, hard-working woman with a generous heart and a ready smile. Every time she opened her garage doors, she remembered that extraordinary morning when the world showed her just how powerful kindness could truly be.